Hi everybody, this is Dr. Saraswati from Avnashlingam University, Department of Resource Management. The topic for the day would be significance and scope of resource management. As we all know, early man managed, but as life gradually grew more and more complex, the methods he used became more refined. In our own pioneer groups where resources were limited and where situations were relatively fixed and the facilities to satisfy one's needs were simple. So man's effort to manage, that is, to control his environment, was simple and direct. In the modern technological environment where situations are complex and highly flexible, where many choices are possible and where values change more rapidly, we must depend on the recent ways of accomplishing the results. So fixed rules or set ways of behavior are not possible and traditional ways of doing things are less applicable. Under these circumstances, man is forced to make choices of the means and methods he will use to obtain what he wants and to achieve his goal. So management is a means of achieving goals through the use of resources. So the management process is a valuable aid to the improvement of life. The interrelated activities or subsystems of management process include planning to achieve goals, organizing for performance, implementing the plan, and evaluating the results in the light of goals. We are going to look in for the significance and scope of resource management. As we all know, home management, according to Kotzen, is a practical science. It cannot do away with the concept of degree or measurement. As in other practical sciences such as medicine, measurements of normal and abnormal health, they show a state of being in terms of a degree. In home management, managing shows some degree of competence. Thus, a home in which goals are being attained with some degree of satisfaction may be considered a well-managed home. So, family is an important part of man's social environment. Home management as an essential component of family living contributes to its health, happiness, and well-being of the family. So management means of adjusting to change and also results in the change. So home management is a very important factor which contributes to the health, happiness, and well-being of the family. It actually paves for the better growth and development of the family members. Life has become very complex because man has increased tools and has changed the tactics of living. As a result, it has become necessary for him to develop more skills in the use of what he wants for himself and for his family to improve his status. In other words, management deals with using what he has got to, or the resources that he has to achieve what he wants. So the resources that we have may be time, money, energy, skill, etc. What we want is the achievement of goals. Goals are the aims of our life. So attainment of goals gives pleasure and non-attainment gives dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction can be avoided only through the wise application of management process. The quality of management will vary depending on the managerial abilities of the individual. So management process will enable one to identify and locate available resources and use them effectively to achieve the desired goals. Resource management is the process of using one's resource in the most efficient way possible. These resources include the tangible resources such as goods, equipments, financial resource, and the labor resources such as employees. Resource management can include ideas such as making sure one has enough physical resources for one's business but not an overabundance so that the products won't get used, or making sure that people are assigned to tasks that will keep him busy and not have too much of downtime. So resources are inputs in the process of management. Human, environmental and economic resources are stored in available bank of readiness to be selected, utilized in various combinations through the management process. So information and creative thought increase the power of resource inputs in gratification of goals and the creation of desirable quality of living. Decisions are necessary to determine which resources will be used and to solve problems or resolve situations, leading to organizing, implementing, evaluating the subsystems involved in the process of decision making. So decisions relate to value formation, to goal determination, to development of standards, and to the selection of resources. Through the management subsystem, goods and services are produced and consumed or saved for later use. New resources may be produced, or the usefulness of the old resources may be increased through planning, organizing, implementing, and evaluating. Now, the purpose of management is to control change. Change is a result of management process. So, change is directly related to the quality of living. If quality of life produced is satisfactory, new goals may be established and the process of management begins again. If the changes produce dissatisfaction with quality of living, the situation can be re-evaluated, alternate goals and resources selected, and the action redirected through the appropriate management subsystems. So the product of management is quality of living. So management occurs on many levels and some more effective than the others. So management depends on the quality and the number of resources that are available and purposefully developed. It also depends on the quality of planning, organizing, implementing, and evaluating, and that transfers the resources into services for other family members. These may be thought of as either goods or services that are produced or consumed by the family members in the course of everyday living. So the quality of management can be improved through practice, and research indicates that this quality may also be improved through education in management. It is therefore crucial to the potential quality of life in this nation and the world that education and effort be directed towards improving the quality of the individual and the family management. Now, what could be the purpose of family resource management? The first one is to use the available resources efficiently in order to achieve the goal. The second, to improve the quality of family life. The third would be to enable the family members to achieve their full potential. Now, the nature of home management includes the administrative side of family living. It is the force, the mental work and the power that puts the machinery of homemaking into action and keeps it going. It is dynamic. It involves decision making that leads to action. It is actually a means of accomplishment. For a person or a family, management is planned activity directed towards the nurturing of values and satisfying of wants. It makes uses of findings of science and knowledge. So it is a field which concerns all the aspects of family life like economic, social, psychological, physical, spiritual, technological aspects. It applies this knowledge in using the family's resources to meet living situations, to solve the problems and help in the resolving of conflicts. Now, the nature and the role of home management process includes it can be a general term in the way like the concept of management may be said to be planned activity directed towards accomplishing the desired needs. It involves the weighing of values and the making of the decision. Everyone learns to manage in some manner or the other, and the resources are at his disposal. Some people learn to manage well while others not so well, but all manage in some degree of competence. The interrelatedness of management functions category includes The management model, the four subsystems are indicated as separate entities like we already dealt with: the planning, organizing, implementing and evaluating. In reality, one of the management function cannot operate without interacting in some degree with the other three functions. Hence, the effectiveness of each management process is dependent upon the quality and the appropriateness of the other function in terms of desired change. Habits and management are the actions repeated frequently enough to become automatic, can be the resources for management. They free a person's thought while performing activity, and they provide patterns for living in times of change. The more routine tasks that can be committed to habit, the freer that person's mind is for making fresh decisions. So, a manager does not need to consider how to perform a duty task related to care for self or care for the living unit, as long as such habits serve the purposes for which they are originally designated. If habits are not serving the original purpose, if the purposes, the resources, or if the purposes, resources or the other circumstances have changed, then habits may have to be evaluated and changes are programmed. The quality of management in the home is frequently recognized by the presence of mismanagement. So whenever action is planned and controlled, management occurs. However, the quality of management varies widely. The crucial question is, which factor more directly affect the quality of management? Why do some families use their resources with poor results, or at least with the unsatisfactory results? Observation from working with many families show some of the reasons. The first one, family goals may be hazy, indefinite, or so weak that they fail to motivate careful use of resources, or the compulsion of one group member may be so intense that the use of the entire family's resources may be swayed by that person. The second one, family members may not completely understand the meaning of management. They may be unaware of the purposive activities of the process, and those who do not understand may resist planning because they say it is rather gives them a confined feeling. I would rather do what I want to do when I want and have what I want when I want it. It is a familiar reaction to the attempted improvement in the management. So the third one, family members simply may be unaware of all available resources, especially the valuable human resources, and may not get full use from them. People are inclined to seek formulas to use resources they know about, particularly money and time, rather than guidelines that can be adapted to their particular situation. If such a situation formula is found, tried, and is ineffective, the feeling is that the management is somehow at fault. The fifth one would be, people may not realize the need to evaluate their experiences and their results of their activity in relation to the goals. They may not recognize the use of evaluation for future improvement. The sixth one, the inability to distinguish essential from the necessities and to establish priority can be a basic problem of many less effective managers. Such lack of understanding and awareness may illustrate a failure to realize what management is and its relation to the quality living. Motivation to succeed may be inactive or absent, and a get-by attitude is easily developed if people are unaware of personal or family goals. Management improves the quality of life when it places importance on personal or group goals and recognizes the management function and as a means rather than ends in them. So providing order and direction to life requires each person and each family to consider their own needs and their desires rather than the management. So when all motivations are considered, management becomes a growing and a vital part of personal development and family achievement of satisfying quality of living. So resource manageability means that goals may be achieved through conscious choice of application of resources in the management process. A time plan can maximize the time available for social interaction and civic service. It is possible to organize the use of space within the limits of one's apartment to achieve more gardening. It is also possible to implement a food service career by managing knowledge and skill in that direction. So it is possible to limit the use of environmental resources to assure that life will be worth living 10, 20 or 100 years from now on. So management day to day or day by day. So planning for the day's activity involves, first of all, the setting up of goals. So in the course of day, the individual or family may be making plans for reaching a number of different goals, short, intermediate and long-term goals. So as decisions are made, plans are carried out, and these activities are integrated into many different patterns of action. So they form a cycle of action from planning to evaluate and back to planning. So thus activity of evaluating brings a sequence back to the point at which it started and completes a cycle. So in the home, plans are always in the making. So some are being carried out while others are being started or completed. Usually a number of action cycles are carried out and they are carried to a conclusion, follow the same pattern or the general cycle of action. So one can imagine a number of these cycles in action in different stages at the same time. So management process at work, and it includes the life of the completely independent person who functions in the same way as that described for the family. So the resources are the same and the purposive activities and the dynamic forces of the management process operate in the same way. So the real differences lie in the goals that motivate the individual and the family and the presence or absence of the need for sharing the use of the resources. With independent person or independent person, both goals and the use of resources are person-centered instead of family or group-centered. A person living in a family and sharing family resources also meets personal management situations and problems. So although his wishes, objectives may be person-centered, they must be realized using the resources which is shared in common or the person's own resources which may be used instead of the family resource to satisfy his or her desire, thus saving the family resources for the group use. Personal qualities associated with management. The home invariably reflects the character of its management. The qualities that makes for success are reflected in the work of the household, in the home life and in the family and its own social life. The creation of a harmonious, willing, integrated working spirit within the family group calls for such personal qualities as intelligence, enthusiasm, understanding of human nature, imagination, judgment, etc. and the ability to communicate the ideas. So there are numerous other qualities as well, but these are the most basic ones, and intelligence becomes the first and the necessary characteristics of a successful homemaker. Thus, the ability to learn to pick out the essential of a problem, to see the situation as a whole, to see relations between old and new, to use the knowledge previously acquired in solving a new problem and reaching the desired goal depends on the intelligence. Enthusiasm is another characteristic that successful managers always seem to have. This quality is partly a byproduct of good mental physical health and as a matter of fact of temperament and the result of conviction in the significance of undertaking. So an understanding of human nature is an indispensable quality for successful home management. Sympathetic understanding of individual differences among members of the family and their probable reaction to different personalities and situation is great aid in solving many human relation problems and in reducing friction, disappointment which currently occur in the family life. So knowledge of the abilities, likes, dislikes of each member of the family serves as a guide in making plans and fitting responsibility to the individual capacities. Imagination is an essential characteristic for all creative experiences because it is the ability to recall, rearrange facts and ideas in new relationship or patterns. It enables one to visualize, make plans and foresee the results of a certain plan of action before it is actually carried out. So originality and resourcefulness are the direct outgrowths of creative imagination. The accuracy of one's mental picture combined with the process involved is an important element in management success or failure. So judgment is the most priceless of the characteristics. It is this quality that enables one to be fair in weighing the various facts in a situation and to see the problem in relation to the others to be faced. So the ability to weigh critically, to evaluate, to analyze, to interpret experience is of vital importance in making decisions concerning the best course of action to follow judgment, and is acquired through the experience and grows slowly. Perseverance is another valuable quality, and this characteristic combines with courage and patience. The person who possesses it believes so thoroughly in the inherent value of ideas or task in hand that he or she is willing to work unremittingly for its achievement. Although contributing to perseverance is courage to face the facts as they are and to act in full knowledge instead of blindly, and the ability to see beyond short-term goals or and those less challenging routine jobs to the accomplishment of more important and the more distant goals. Adaptability is a quality of human nature which makes more flexibility, or which brings in more flexibility in the living. Success in meeting daily problems depends to a large extent on parental ability to adapt their plans to changing circumstances. So the human environment is not static. Conditions and demands change from day to day, so that no sooner has one comes to adjust to the other. Plans must frequently be shifted or even given up entirely. Conflicts must be resolved and difficulties overcome. Failure to make changing conditions reflects an inflexibility of mind which stifles the growth and the progress and causes lack of harmony in the home. Self-management or management of one's own feeling is a requirement for the family members. The home is a highly personalized enterprise founded upon the intimate and the affectionate life of its members. Many problems of management involve personal adjustment and relationship. Discouragement, worry, frustration, or feelings of martyrdom are all negative qualities that indicate bad mental health. They show a spirit of discontent and are less likely to cause irritability, or they cause irritability and lack of self-control. Any one of these qualities may permeate the whole group and cause the atmosphere of discord. Ability to communicate involves a conveying of meaning to the others. It is essential in working with people and putting plans into action. The ability to communicate successfully within the family leads to the sharing of knowledge, feelings, desires, dangers, and the desires and experience. Dangers in overmanagement. There are certain dangers inherent in the management process which every family should be aware of and guard against it. So they are of real importance as they affect all the members in the home, as may be felt outside also. The negative phases are recognized in the industry and are termed as preventive management. So the man and the woman who has the unusual managerial ability can easily conceive purposes and plans and much more rapidly than they can be carried out by the family. It is often hard for this individual to realize time and it takes for each person to do his share of work, and as a result he or she is often impatient with the lag. Parental challenge is synchronizing the different tempos of the family. Failure to recognize these individual differences is a real hazard to accomplishment and to happiness. A danger that frequently arises in connection with time and energy management is that energies of some or all of the family may be strained in order that one member may take on the other responsibility. The overloading of those who are already carrying heavy responsibility usually causes worry, friction, emotional upsets and unhappy Overwork, which may result from trying to live up to the plan or finish some task which takes more time than they calculated, is to another situation to be avoided. The woman who habitually works on her nerve or who borrows from the next day's store of energy in order to accomplish what work she has planned usually ends the day thoroughly exhausted and unable to carry her full share of responsibility to the next day. Another danger can come with the over-energetic man or woman is constantly bustling and is unhappy unless the entire family is also bustling. So such people are not as efficient as they seem to be. Successful management is not so obvious and also allows a high degree for freedom of action to all members of the family. So to conclude, management in family living is effective to the degree that it results in accomplishment of work which must be carried out forward in the home, makes possible better use of money and abilities, releases time and energy from work to allow time for recreational activities. It should improve the choice and use of materials made for goods, influence the establishment of reasonable standards, integrates human values into living as changed condition affect the family life. Such management is helpful and satisfying to the individual and to the group. So management is successful insofar as it places development of individuals ahead of organization and makes a process of management the means to end and to provide satisfying human experiences. So solutions to home management problems cannot be set up as pattern of action that a homemaker can fit to her individual family. Each family has its own needs and requires a plan of its own. So parents who are effective in the management of their home will shape the plans of action to fit the family's needs and desire. So when this is done, management becomes growing, the vital part of the family's experience. Thank you.